Hello. I am Lemuel Gulliver. I'm sure you've heard of my travels to distant lands, where I encountered extraordinary beings and lived incredible adventures. But do you know the mind behind my journey? Let me tell you about Jonathan Swift, the author who used my story to challenge societal conventions and question human and political weaknesses. Jonathan Swift was born on November 30th, 1667, in Dublin, Ireland, into an Anglo-Irish family. After his father died, Swift and his mother moved back to England when he was just 3 years old, though he eventually returned to Ireland, where he spent most of his life. He studied at Trinity College in Dublin and later worked as a secretary to Sir William Temple, a prominent British diplomat. Swift was deeply involved in the political and religious life of Ireland and became a clergyman in the Church of Ireland. His writings often reflected his criticism of British rule over Ireland and his advocacy for the Irish people. Swift's views were shaped by his personal experiences and his keen observations of society. He was known for his sharp wit and bitter criticism of both political corruption and religious hypocrisy. Despite being part of the Anglican establishment, Swift used his writing to challenge the social and political status quo, often calling for reform. His later years were marked by physical and mental decline. He suffered from a variety of health issues, including a condition that affected his balance and hearing. As a result, he gradually withdrew from public life. Swift died at the age of 77. He was buried in St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin, where he had been the dean for many years. Jonathan Swift's literary legacy is largely defined by his satirical works. His most famous piece, Gulliver's Travels, 1726, is a multi-layered satire of human nature, politics, and society, exploring the absurdity of human pride and the hypocrisy of social structures. The Battle of the Books and A Tale of a Tub, 1704, are both examples of Swift's satirical criticism of contemporary religious and intellectual debates, with A Tale of a Tub particularly focusing on the corruption he saw within religious institutions. Another key work, A Modest Proposal, 1729, is a satirical pamphlet that suggested the poor Irish sell their children as a food source to the wealthy. Through this extreme irony, Swift critiqued the exploitation of the Irish people by the British, as well as the heartless attitudes of the wealthy towards the impoverished. Swift's views were often seen as controversial and unconventional for his time. He was openly critical of the optimistic ideas of the Enlightenment and the belief in the perfectibility of human beings. Rather than seeing humans as inherently good or capable of progress, Swift famously described himself as a hater of man. He viewed humanity as rational but inherently flawed, prone to vice and corruption despite the potential for reason. This perspective led him to express a deep pessimism about human nature, which was a marked contrast to the prevailing attitudes of optimism and progress that dominated his era. Swift's works often presented uncomfortable truths about power, corruption, and the exploitation of the poor, using satire to expose the injustices of the world he lived in. His radical and sometimes shocking ideas, such as those in A Modest Proposal, challenged his readers to reflect upon the troubling social issues of his time. Swift's writing is renowned for its sharp irony and biting satire, often presenting his criticisms in exaggerated, absurd, or shocking ways. By using satire, Swift was able to reveal the deep flaws in society without directly confronting the reader with harsh facts. This ability to mask serious critiques with humor made his works both engaging and disturbing. The main themes in Swift's works include social criticism, political corruption, the flaws of human nature, the dangers of unchecked power, and the illusion of human progress. His satire often targeted the arrogance of those in power and the exploitation of the poor. Another central theme is the futility of human optimism. While Enlightenment thinkers held hope for the progress of humanity, Swift's work suggests that such optimism is naive and that humans, despite their capacity for reason, often fall victim to their own vices. Swift's aim was not simply to entertain, but to provoke thought and inspire change. His writing, full of sharp irony and bold satire, was meant to challenge the status quo and question societal norms. Swift wanted his readers to critically examine the political, religious, and social systems that shaped their lives, hoping to inspire reform. His legacy is significant. Swift is considered one of the greatest satirists in English literature. His works continue to provoke critical discussions and help us gain deeper insight into society and human nature. Swift's contributions to literature and his ability to provoke reflection through shocking and dark humor have cemented his place in the literary canon. That's it. So, now you know a little about the man who gave me life. If you're curious about the strange places I visited and the lessons hidden within, why not explore Gulliver's Travels yourself?